Why did I watch this movie? Well, it certainly wasn't because of this ad I saw where Keegan-Michael Key reprises his Mr. Garvey character from that skit, about the substitute teacher, and getting names wrong of many famous Paramount Plus characters. And this movie's main character sat in the middle of the Paramount Mountain with Claudine and Peppa Pig. What the fuck? Anyways, I watched it because the premise was awful and I knew I was going to hate it. But because I was going to see The Fabelmans right afterwards, I thought, you know what? I want to make sure I wanted to like The Fabelmans because I was worried I wouldn't like it. And what I think of that movie will be a different review. But to make sure I wouldn't like it, to make sure I would like it, I need to put on something I knew I would hate. So I put on this movie, so that movie would look fantastic in comparison. So, Fantasy Football is a Nickelodeon TV movie disguised as a movie for all ages instead of toddlers who don't know better by being on Paramount Plus, which, I'm just going to say this, and I don't know if anyone else ever has a problem with this. Instead of it just being on Nickelodeon, which will make a huge difference because Nickelodeon is a free show, a free channel. There's no subscription for Nickelodeon. There is cable you have to pay for, but that's different. You don't have to get cable for Nickelodeon, I think. Now, but with Paramount Plus, that's a subscription service. And if you have to pay a subscription service to watch a movie that's exclusive to it, no matter what, if there's a paywall, you're going to have to judge the movie thinking about, ooh, I have to pay for it. And it's less like, oh, there's a bargain bin movie compared to something I can watch in theaters. It's the comparison of, if it's free, and then I have to be on something that pays for it. To be fair, no one's going to actually pay Paramount Plus to watch this movie specifically. But that doesn't mean it's good, because this movie sucks. Now, what's the premise I knew I would watch and hate it? Well, it's pretty simple. So the setup here is that football player Bobby Coleman, played by Omari Hardwick, is a football player and family man who's past his glory days as he's been transferred to many different teams with his family. This time to the Atlanta Falcons, which I think I saw one review saying, yeah, it wasn't that great, but you know what? He was on the Atlanta Falcons. That's my team. I saw Angels in the outfield, but I don't think people from Atlanta are going to say, oh man, it's about the Angels. I have to like it then. Anyways, so he moves to Atlanta along with his family, with our main character being his daughter, Callie, played by Marsai Martin, who's now 16, and she still loves her father and supporting his dreams, but wishes for some normalcy this time. Well, here's the real premise of the movie. So Callie and Bobby fight over Callie's signed version of Madden she got from a rival on Bobby's team, which gets struck by lightning, and what follows is that by playing her father in Madden, she controls him in real life, making him a fantastic football player. Simple, right? For a kids movie, it's an okay premise. Like, if this, again, was a Nickelodeon TV movie or a Disney Channel, I wouldn't think that hard about it. Like, oh man, this is not something that would be in theaters, nor should it be in theaters. But, let's compare it to a movie I just saw prior to this, Disenchanted. It does practically everything wrong, but with that movie being boring because of it, this movie does everything wrong, and it becomes unlikable. It is an unlikable film, and I am shocked I'm the only one who's described it as just unlikable. Now, this football player father, he just takes complete advantage of his daughter's time and kindness for how good she plays the game that makes him look so good in reality. And it's just so unbearable how he just takes advantage of this. Like, he takes up his daughter's time and kindness in order to fulfill his own dreams and ego over hers. And it's not charming in any way. Like, he barely ever thanks her. Like, I think maybe once or twice. And then, he stops as his ego grows higher and higher. He never tries to actually get to know her, like, balance out, like, okay, you helped me out. Now, here, let me help you out. Or let me know what's going on with your life. It's always about him. And, talking to her like a real father, that never happens. Like, he's petty, he doesn't own a mansion like his rival who deserves it because, he's actually good. It's like, oh man, he still gets to play football for a living. That's something only anyone who would dream of could. And he still has a very nice house that's not a mansion, but screw it, it's not a mansion, so therefore who cares if the house is nice? It's not good enough for this prick. He needs to be the best to feel his ego. He is unsympathetic, and And his turnaround by the end is only because he's backed into a corner rather than feeling any actual guilt from, cheating, dishonesty, telling his daughter to lie to her mother and never facing consequences for this. He's easily one of the most unintentional, unlikable characters this year, which makes this movie frustrating to watch. It's not helped by the other characters being boring and forgettable. I mean, at first, I thought this movie might surprise me, like Callie not being bitter because she has to move, or the film was setting up bully characters I thought would be in the movie more, as the bully characters only get like one scene, albeit she gets rid of the bullies by hacking the sprinklers with her phone. I mean, it's just like how I can press Control-I with my computer, and then I can hack the White House. It's just that simple. Now, she joins the robotics team at her school who do a competition that literally rips off the exact real-life challenge I watched in the Disney Plus documentary, More Than Robots. Though that documentary was produced by, Lucasfilm, so the competition was Star Wars themed. But, here the robot they decided to name it a SpongeBob pun. I don't even remember what it's called. Sponge Nut Sprocket Pants? I don't know, and I don't care. This barely matters in the movie because, I thought this would be the climax, would be the robotics competition, but, halfway through, it's just dropped, her being part of this robotics team. And although it is part of it, she spends so much time helping out Bobby, she can't do anything for a robotics team. I mean, she does this unlikable thing, when she gets kicked off because she does nothing, she's like, you guys are all a mediocre crew. I hated this movie. By the end of the movie, with the climax, I didn't care for Bobby Coleman. In fact, I rooted against him because he didn't deserve to have gone far in this how far he does in this movie by the end. I mean, I would ramble more about this, but when the movie only had 5 to 10 minutes left, I paused the movie to go see The Fabelmans in theaters and came back and forgot I even watched this movie that morning, which was yesterday because I'm filming this the day after. Other problems just stem from this being a stupid kids movie. No, wait, that was 2 days ago. What was I being angry about? Oh, yeah. Other problems just stem from this being a stupid kids movie. Like this cringe effect where Callie's friend unintentionally changes her father's appearance in Madden. Which, hey, I can't do these effects myself. I mean, I know a friend who probably could and would have done a better job than this movie did. Speaking of cringe, it's unfunny, it's forgettable, and boring, but what makes this one of the worst movies I saw this year is how it doesn't realize how unlikable it is. There are bad, boring movies I could sit through at least that are more tolerable. This is just unlikable, and I can't say how they could have fixed this because it's a bad idea to begin with. It could have been okay and forgettable, but you know what? Once I've seen it, I'm done with it, and I never want to watch it again. This movie is horrendous. I hated this movie, and this is easily one of the worst of 2022 for me. Take that, fantasy football. I'm sure my review will, change someone's mind about something. I give fantasy football a 2 out of 10.